On the 12th of August 2011, the BBC came to Haywards Heath Methodist Church to film an interview for the popular programme Songs of Praise. Cameraman Mark was soon setting up and demonstrating his new LED lights to producer Gary. The crew had all travelled from different parts of the country. Mark from Ealing in London and Gary from Manchester.
Getting around London as well.
The next to arrive, from Brighton, was sound recordist Brian, who set about testing his audio equipment. Pam Rhodes, down for the afternoon from Bedfordshire, and Colin Morris from Lewis chatted over a cup of tea whilst the crew made their preparations. Soon Brian was wiring Pam for sound in readiness for the interview.
Decided that instead of having straightforward hymns, they would introduce testimony. They would get members of a congregation to say why a particular hymn was important to them. And in a way, that transformed, I think, the whole programme. It gave it much more immediate interest for viewers.
Colin is a retired Methodist minister, serving the church in Zambia, as well as being a former head of religious broadcasting for the BBC. After concentrating the camera on Colin, cameraman Mark moved back to take some two shots of Pam and Colin.
Does it surprise you that Songs of Praise is clocking up its half century now?
It was then Pam's turn for some close-ups and noddy shots to be later inserted into the final edit.
What is Songs of Praise at its very best?
Yeah. And then Roll was the psalmist. Yeah.
Right.
Or within this time, I don't think so. The stars of the show are these variegated congregations from all over the country.
It was interesting to hear Colin's views on John Reith, founder of the BBC.
Here he was, a Scottish Presbyterian. If you like, he believed in the end the most important element in making programmes was the producer's conscience. That, you can't sit in judgment on every one of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of programmes that are coming out of, say, the BBC. You depend upon the producer's conscience. Now, that tradition is really quite part of the spine of Songs of Praise still.
So I wonder if those founding fathers would be surprised that we're now celebrating Songs of Praise 50th birthday. What is their legacy in that, do you think?
I think that any of them would recognise still in Songs of Praise the essential elements which were part of its founding genius. They might have grumbles about the dancing girls and the guitars and that, but nonetheless they would sense that the faith was still being kept by this programme. It is often said that Songs of Praise is folk religion, and that is exactly what it is, because that's how hymns originate. Most of religion is run by professionals, parsons, theologians. But hymns are where the congregation strike back. The theologians can say a hymn is absolute doggerel. But if a congregation decides to take it to its heart, sooner or later it will end up in one of the hymn books.
Pam also recorded some voiceovers for the programme.
Not only was the world very different in 1961, television was as well, with just 2 channels to choose from.
Cue telesinging.
50 years ago, the world was very different. The first manned space flight had only just taken place. Yet most trains were still powered by steam. And television was in black and white. Just as the 60s were about to swing, a new TV series was commissioned to feature congregations singing in their own churches. It was called Songs of Praise.
Performances by children's choir have always been a much-loved part of Songs of Praise, right back to the first edition.
When a children's choir performed All Things Bright and Beautiful, sung now by youngsters from Cardiff.
It was good to see Haywards Heath playing a part in the 50th anniversary of this much-loved television programme.
My father, who was a coal miner, didn't have much formal education, but was one of the most cultured men I knew, used to say that the half dozen most majestic words in the English language were found in that verse of "Oh, worship the King, pavilioned in splendour and girded with praise." And he said that's the best 7-word definition of the majesty of God you will find in the language. And I've never forgotten that.